I read 11 books in September and they were a mixed bag. Hi guys, my name is Ezra and welcome back to my channel. So September was kind of a good month for me and I actually read quite a few books, but I do have 2 rereads out of that 11 books that I read. That's really surprising to me too, because one, I'm a slow reader, and two, I've been in a sort of slump since the pandemic happened. Also, if you hear noises, that's my cat Momo. She's keeping me company today. And I think she saw a squirrel outside, so she's gonna be a bit noisy for the whole video. Anyway, if you're interested in my September reads, grab a cup of your favorite drink and let's get started. So the first book that I read in September was an audiobook called The Last Wolf by Maria Vale. And I decided to read this book because I won book 3. Anyway, it's Season of the Wolf from Goodreads. And I've been pretty lucky this year because I've been winning a lot of Goodreads giveaways. Anyway, I decided to pick up the first book in the series because I've never read the series before, and of course I've heard a lot of rave reviews about this book, The Last Wolf. Also, Maria Vale is a new to me author and I've never read her before, so this was an interesting read. Unfortunately, I ended up giving it 2 stars only because the whole world building was really confusing, and I was listening to it on audio, and usually I pick up on other things while I'm listening to the audio, but this time it was just not clicking. The whole world was just, the whole shifter thing was just so confusing, and this was a new shifter world that we're introduced into. There's basically 2 different types of shifters. There are shifters that can shift at will, and then there are these shifters that can shift at will, but every full moon they don't have any control of their shifting, and they basically shift for about 3 days, and they call it the Iron Moon. So that was really confusing to me, and there were scenes where the heroine shifts, because the heroine is the lunar wolf thing, and so when she shifts into a wolf, there is no voice distinction between wolf and human, so I was not getting it, and she was having like conversations in her head, and I didn't know when it was shifting to conversations between the hero. It was interesting, but I just couldn't follow the whole lore, follow the whole story. So that was, ultimately I did not end up liking it. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue in the series, but yeah, the Last Wolf was a disappointment to me, unfortunately. That's why I ended up giving it 2 stars. The next book that I read is actually a reread of one of my favorite books, one of my favorite historical romance books. And the title of the book is Secret Desires of a Gentleman by Laura Lee Gurkey. And if you follow me on Instagram, you would know that I reviewed my reread of this book and I was triggered and pissed. I just knocked off 1 star out of my 5-star review. And mind you, I reread this book multiple times, but it's been quite a while. I believe the last time I read this book was in 2016, so that was about 4 years ago. So now it's 2020 and now Ezra's pissed. So the premise of the story is the heroine is a chef's daughter, and her father works for the Marquis of Kane. Now, she grew up with the sons of the Marquis, and she's actually really close friends to both brothers. However, she's really closer to the elder brother, Philip. Now, Philip's the Marquis, and her father passes away, and so the only person that was able to give her comfort at that time and even offered marriage was the second son. I forgot his name. Andrew? I forgot. Anyway, was the second son. And of course, the Marquis was pissed about this and basically paid her money to leave the estate and not be seen again. So the romance happens 12 years later when Maria Martingale is actually looking for a new spot for her patisserie. And who ends up owning the place that she's renting? Well, the Marquis of Kane. And they actually collide outside the shop and he's so pissed. So this book is more on an unrequited romance, enemies to lovers as well. And I actually like that it was the hero that was pining for the heroine, but the hero was a little bit douchey, and he's one of those aristocrats who is a stickler for the rules. Now the issue I have, and the main reason why I knocked off 1 star, is basically the ending. The ending really needed an epilogue. Now I think this book needed an epilogue because the book just ended there with the Marquis proposing and the heroine accepting his proposal, you know. So I have a full review for that, and if you're interested to read the spoilery review and the main reason why I knocked off 1 star, read my review. I will leave a link of the review in the description box below, and please read it and let me know what you think. Also, I still like this book, don't get me wrong, it's still one of my favorites, but I think it really needed an epilogue, to be honest. So the next book that I picked up is And Then He Kissed Her by Laura Lee Gerke, and this is actually book 1 of the Girl Bachelor series. So Secret Desires of a Gentleman is book 3, and Then He Kissed Her is book 1. And the main reason why I picked this, because I was so pissed with Secret Desires that I just wanted to read book 1 and see if my thoughts of the series is still the same. Thank God. I still rated this book 4 stars. It has been 4 stars. It's not my favorite in the series, but I still like it. So the story follows Emma, and she's a secretary to the Marquis, who owns a publishing company. And she's been trying to write this guide to, like, a girl bachelorette's guide or a girl bachelor's guide to whatever. And this Viscount has been denying her manuscripts, and then she finds out that he has not read her manuscripts at all. So she basically ups and quits. She's also in her late 20s, I believe, so she's pissed. She quits, and basically she starts writing a column for the Viscount's competition. And so when she quits, the Viscount basically cannot run his business without her, and he finds out that she's been doing all these little things, all the little details that everybody seems to rely on her for. And so he goes and tries to woo her back and wants her back as his secretary. And she's pissed, and she does not want to be a secretary anymore. And this is where the romance starts. I love the banter. I love how Harry, the name of the Viscount is Harry. I love how Harry is just all confused and can't believe that his secretary, who he thought was plain, is a very spirited and feisty woman. So when he starts trying to woo her to come so that she'll come back to be his secretary, he finds out that he's attracted to her. And this one also ends quite abruptly, and I think it also needs an epilogue, but I do love it. And because this book is book 1, you actually see Emma, you know, pop up in book 2, pop up in book 3, because this series is about a group of bachelorettes living in an apartment or like in a terrace house or something. Anyway, this book still holds up to what I remember the book is, so that's why I'm still keeping it at 4 stars. The next book that I read was an audiobook of How to Tame a Beast in 7 Days by Carolyn Sparks. This is actually the first book in the Embraced series, and this is a fantasy romance, and I was absolutely delighted. So the Embraced are people that have power. So in this world, Embraced people are kind of shunned, and this series follows a group of girls who thought they were orphans and were raised by nuns. So the heroine in this book is, I I won't spoil it, but the heroine in this book finds out that she has family, and she also has power, but she finds out that she has family and is forced to marry the enforcer of the king. He is called the Beast of Benwick because when he was 4 or 5, I think, when he was a kid, he was hit by lightning, and then when his nanny touched him, she expired on the spot. So his power is harnessed by lightning, so think Thor without the hammer. And so he basically gets charged through lightning, and unfortunately anybody he touches passes away because of his power, and he can't really control his power. So the heroine and him kind of meet, and there's sparks between the two. She doesn't know he's the hero until like a little bit later in the book, and there is another twist. And I really like this book. I plan to read the next books in the series because the characters from this book, I'm assuming, are going to be characters in the next book. And there's a wolf shifter in this book that I think will get his own HEA, and I'm really interested about him and interested about his backstory because he's a shifter, but he was cursed and he can only shift for 2 hours every single day. So for the rest of the time, he's a dog. And I'm really, really interested about him. There is also secrets about that character, and I really like it. So How to Tame a Beast in 7 Days really gave me Princess Bride vibes. And I really love that it's fantasy rom-com-y. And I love that they defeated the villain here, but there are different types of villains, I'm assuming, because I think the second books are actually set in a different country or a different location. I'm really, really interested in the whole series, and I enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. So the next book that I picked up on audio is The Controversial Princess by Jodi Ellen Malpas. This is the first book in the Smoke and Mirrors duology, and I was totally influenced by Odette at Romance Book Junkie on Instagram. I saw her review, and I also saw her photo. Her photo was basically a recreation of the cover, and I thought it was so cute. Plus, her review made me want to read the book. This is my first Jodi Ellen Malpas book, so I did not know what to expect. I did not know that it was going to be a little bit kinky and a little bit steamy, and I actually liked it. It was a surprise. And I just was not expecting anything when I read it, and I enjoyed it so much. So this book is a forbidden romance / insta-lust type of romance, and it follows Princess Adeline. She is the third in line to the throne, and the hero of the romance is an Oscar-winning Hollywood actor named Josh. And I really love how they sneaked around because of course her family does not approve, and so she's sneaking around, and in fact the family's actually pushing for her to marry someone else. Now this book is definitely steamy, definitely NSFW, and please, a little bit kinky. I liked it. I enjoyed it so much. There are a lot of twists in this book. I went in without being spoiled, so do not be spoiled if you have not read this book. Also, this book is book 1 of a duology, so be prepared for the cliffhanger in the end. And luckily, book 2 is available, and I picked it up right after this. So book 2 is His True Queen, and I had to read it because of that freaking plot twist. I'm not going to say anything about this plot in this book because it will spoil the plot of the first book, so I'm not going to say anything, only that I was not expecting the ending. Yes, there is an HEA, but the ending kind of threw me. I did not expect that. So kudos to you, Jodi Ellen Malpas. I was not expecting that. Now, the only negative thing I can say about book 2 is that it got pretty tedious. So the sneaking around, the romance, the will he, won't he, that was a little upsetting to me. That was a little bit tiring. And I feel like it just kept going on and on and on. And there are issues that can be talked over, and both main characters do not talk to each other. So it was so frustrating to me. So this one, I did give it 3 stars because of that. While I was listening to the audio, I just kept wanting to bash their heads together, basically. So that was upsetting to me. But anyway, I did like book 1. I gave it 4 stars. Book 2, 3 stars. Now, the next book that I read is actually one of my highly anticipated books this year, and the book is The Sea Witch by Katie Robert. This is the 5th book in the Wicked Villain series, and it is a retelling of The Little Mermaid. Now, if you haven't read the Wicked Villain series yet, please be aware that this is an erotic fairy tale retelling. And this book in particular is an MFF romance. And this is between Ursa, Zuriel, and Alaric. So you know who they are if you watch Disney. This is not your childish fairy tale. No, this is an adult fairy tale retelling of The Little Mermaid. And I absolutely love this series. My favorite book in this series is the previous book, which is Beast, and it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And it's a romance between Beast, Gaetan, and Belle. Or Elle? Is it Elle or Belle? Elle. I think it's Elle. Anyway, I really like that. Now, I'll talk about The Sea Witch because I was a little bit disappointed. Really. I didn't like this book at all. I had high hopes for this book. I feel like the romantic chemistry of the 3 characters was missing. So let me back up. So the premise of the story is Ursa is pissed at King Triton, so she devises a plan for revenge, and she sends Alaric up to Olympus to seduce one of the daughters, and Triton's favorite daughter is Zuriel. So Alaric seduces her. But the problem is we don't see that part. We are only told that this is what happened. So basically the story starts with Zuriel coming to the Sea Witch because she wants to pay for Alaric to be freed from Hades. So Alaric is in debt to Hades, and he works at Hades Club basically, and Zuriel wants to rescue him, and she basically kind of agrees to be auctioned off to the highest bidder, and of course Ursa is the highest bidder and bids for her. So now Zuriel is feeling very betrayed, and now she's forced to be in this relationship between Ursa, Alaric, and her. And I feel like there should have been more. I think I feel like the romantic aspect, the relationship development was missing in this book. So I ultimately gave it 2 stars. I'm not happy about it because it's one of my highly anticipated books. The next book that I read is an Arc of Naughty Brits anthology by Sarah McLean, Sophie Jordan, Louisa Edwards, Tessa Gratton, and Sierra Simone. My favorite in the anthology is actually Sarah's book, A Duke Worth Falling For. Say that and sing A Girl Worth Fighting For, because I just saw Mulan and I absolutely hated it. Anyway, not talking about Mulan right now. So I like Sarah's book a lot. I actually gave it 5 stars. It's my favorite of all the novellas. This is also Sarah's very first contemporary romance, and I think she should write more. This one was so cute, so sweet, and even though it was a novella, it certainly did not feel like a novella. I was bawling in this book. I loved it so much. The other books I did enjoy, Sophie Jordan's book is Better With You. It's a bodyguard romance. Louisa Edwards' book is Not a Bad Boy, and it was giving me a lot of Chris Evans vibes because the hero of this romance is Hector. And the third book in the anthology is Songbird, which is my least favorite one. This is from Tessa Gratton, and I didn't really like it. I feel like there needed to be more relationship development between the 2 main characters because there is a hidden identity. Basically, the hero lied, and the hero didn't tell the heroine who he was. So I thought she forgave him pretty quick. So the last book in the anthology is Supplicant by Sierra Simone, and wow, this was the hottest of the novellas, and I enjoyed it so much. I am not really into a lot of Sierra Simone's book. I did not enjoy Priest, and I know that's everybody's favorite, but I did not enjoy Priest that much. And I also didn't like her New Camelot series. I didn't like that. But this book, I absolutely liked it. I gave this 4 stars. This is a second chance romance, second chance age gap romance, and a little bit of a forbidden romance, and it was really, really steamy. Overall, I enjoyed the anthology. I did not like all of the books in the anthology, but overall, I rated the anthology 4 stars. The next book that I read was an Arc of The One Who Got Away by Karina Halley. And again, this is one of my highly anticipated romances of the year. And I was thoroughly disappointed. This is Luciano's book. And Luciano is the captain / best friend. He's the soccer captain of the Real Madrid and The Forbidden Man, and I actually love The Forbidden Man. I gave The Forbidden Man 4.5 stars. This book, though, I don't know. I feel like, so the bulk of the story happens when they first meet, and then they don't meet again, and then they meet, and then she goes away again, and then now she's back 7 years later, and then that part is so rushed. There is hardly any romance at that part. I mean, they haven't seen each other for 7 years, and the hero basically hated her because she just disappeared without any reason at all, and he forgave her right away. I feel like it was not that I don't know. I just feel like Ezra, stop it. Okay. So anyway, I gave it 3 stars. I haven't reviewed it yet. I probably will review it later on this month, and you'll probably know my real thoughts because it's better to review. Okay. I'm pissed. So anyway, I ended up giving this book 3 stars. The next book that I listened to is Before Jamaica Lane by Samantha Young, and this is book 3 in the On Dublin Street series. I thought this was sweet. It was really cute. This book is a friends to lovers romance, and I really enjoyed it. Although the hero was a bit of a jerk, but it was good. I love how the relationship developed. I love that they were friends first. And this book also has the My Fair Lady trope where the hero teaches the heroine how to flirt and actually have sex. And basically their relationship developed because they started hooking up. The story was so cute and sweet, and I liked it. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I actually cried at certain parts of this book. I really did. I also like that we get to see a glimpse of the other characters in this series, and I liked visiting Joss and Brendan again. Is it Brendan? Joss and Brendan again, because that was sweet too. I really like them. So the last book that I read this month is a book that I was not planning on reading, but because it was my husband's birthday last Monday, I decided to ask Instagram if they had any age gap romance. And because this book was a short kind of novella, I decided to pick it up. Plus, I like the author. I've read her before. And the title of the book is Your Dad Will Do by Katie Robert. And this is book 1 of the A Touch of Taboo series. And let's just say it was extremely steamy, but it kind of creeped me out. So this book actually has the heroine say, "You're my daddy," or "daddy," when they're having sex, and the hero basically wants her to say, "Who's your daddy?" blah blah blah. And that's just gross. Ew. I'm sorry. every time, every time a character calls the other daddy during sexy times, grosses me out. I'm sorry. No offense to anybody who likes it, but it was a little icky to me. I am surprised though that the relationship and the story development was pretty well done, you know, for something that is taboo. Yeah, I actually liked it. But not as much as I like the other books that Kitty Robert wrote. I ended up giving this book 3 stars, and there is a scene here where her ex-fiance catches her in bed with the dad, and they're actually doing the deed, and his reaction was nothing at all. I mean, even though this guy broke up with you and this guy cheated on you, I don't think your reaction would be nothing. Right? I don't know. So those were the books that I read in September. As I've said, they were a mixed bag. I did read 11 books in September, which is good for me. I've been waffling between 9 to 10 to 11-ish books in the last few months. So I'm really happy that I'm at least consistent. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please let me know which books you've read from the books that I've read in September, which books you loved, and which books you did not like, because I like to hear your thoughts. Anyway, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.